The word invasion was coming to me today. What do I mean by invasion? I believe that has to do with the red dragon, if you catch my meaning. The red dragon and invasions that could be happening there. I believe that's something that's going to begin to rapidly take place. I know that they're even moving troops around right now all the way up to Alaska, and circumstances where they're beginning to test the fortitude of the United States, the red dragon is, and they're trying to say, hey, maybe we can go ahead and get what we want out of this deal since we have the Manchurian and chief in office, the Manchurian candidate in chief in office. Maybe we can get what we want out of that. I feel strongly that the word invasion is going to be, it's going to hit the scene soon. Invasion. And I have a number of things I'm going to talk about. Please consider what I'm saying, because I have hope in this. This is not a doom and gloom message. I'm going to do the watchman on the wall thing. I'm going to share some things I sense and what's predicated on it, meaning that the hope of the Lord Jesus Christ is going to rise up. If you don't know Jesus, now's the time you want to know Jesus, okay? Now's the time you get to know him. I believe that the word invasion is something that's going to begin to rise up. There's going to be more talk about invasion, especially with the red dragon. You're going to begin to see this invasion narrative beginning to come forward. When I talk about invasion, I'm talking about the red dragon and specifically over Taiwan. I'm talking about they want to test the mettle of different nations. I believe that ultimately they want to try to intimidate and get through the barriers of the United States one way or another, both digitally, financially, and everything else. I think because they're pressed into such a way of financial difficulty that they need to go and begin to, like a virus in a sense, go and begin to take over other regions and territories so they can begin to go forward. The shortages, meaning specifically food. Okay. Now, does that mean that there will be no food? Does that mean there will be nothing? Is it over with for everybody? No, that's not what I'm saying. But there is going to come food shortages. Why is this? Why would they begin to do food shortages, or why would that be pressed upon the culture? Well, I think it's not just food, but you're going to see it in many different aspects. And here's what's going to happen. They're going to create a demand. They're going to create a demand. And as they create a demand, there's going to be, what's the right word for it? They're going to create a demand and then say, well, here's the deal. If we're going to begin to have difficulty and having difficulty getting access to things, then you need to have a certain way that you really show your compliance with the government and your compliance with all that's going on. And that is where you get more into a totalitarian system where you have to have permission to travel, permission to buy, permission to get things. And they'll say, because of recent shortages, we really want to serve those who've gotten the Antichrist practice first. We want to get those guys there first, and that's what's going to begin to happen there, I believe. I believe that's coming more and more and more. I believe that the current Manchurian and chief that's in office, I think, is going to begin to diminish quickly, and this is something that it doesn't take a blind prophet could see this, okay? But I think that he's going to diminish quickly. I think that's going to begin to wind down, and as that begins to take place, I had a day vision, as I've said before, about Kamala Harris, and her face appeared, and I shared this probably, I don't know, a year and a half, maybe more ago, before she was even announced as VP, whenever this took place, way before that. And I said, I see her face appearing. I saw her face and I saw Trump's face appear. Now, I'm still interpreting this because it has more meaning to me and I'm walking it out. So please pray for me, because like when I saw that the former president would not win the election, and I do believe it was a victory, just I think the way it played out, I saw it playing out the way they're talking. Now listen, I saw that Kamala's face appear and it was stronger in this vision, and I saw Trump's face appear and it was weaker in the vision. And that I'm trying to stay hopeful here, but I believe that very much the plan, at least today, is to get her into office. And I think that's the plan. If that happens, there's going to be a great difficulty in all this. This Sunday, my wife took the stage. I got up and prophesied. I saw things and things are happening. Listen. And then I began to prophesy. I got down. Heather gets up and she shares a word about God wanting to use your prayers and weaponize your voice, spiritually speaking, and all this. And I'm down on the front row and I'm standing there. And suddenly, now, if you followed me for over a year, this is going to pay attention. You're going to want to hear this. The Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, the lion is about to move. The lion is about to move. Now, if you followed me for a year, you realize right after the election, okay, back in November, you realize right after the election, I had a word and I had a day vision. I woke up and I began to see a day vision. And as I looked into this day vision, I saw the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He looked like Aslan from Narnia, gazing down at the earth, okay? Gazing down at the earth. And his eyes were like crystal, all right? I was looking at this and I saw, wow. And all of a sudden the Lord began to speak to me and said this on Sunday morning to me, okay? I believe there's a gearing up supernaturally. I believe that the lion is about to move and something's going to break loose in a supernatural setting. I had a vision about ships in the ocean and ships and sea-bearing vessels some time ago. And now they're saying there's up to 90 cargo ships just sitting out in the ocean. And they're holding them at bay because that is what's going to begin to bring forward this shortage that's being induced right now. And it's being induced in many different ways. But this is what the Lord began to show me a year ago. And I was talking about it. And I actually had people, and this is very interesting, but I had people talk to me directly saying, don't preach fear. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to preach everything but fear. I'm going to bring strength to you, horsepower to you. Like, we're not backing up, we're leaning in. And so this word I had was about these ships. And I say, keep your eyes on the sea-bearing vessels. And I've had this word for some time, and I've been trying to identify what it means. And now I'm realizing the two were together, talking about the sea-bearing vessels and the shortages that are coming forward. And now I'm saying it to you again. If you have means to get ready, get ready. And I don't mean that like, oh no, dig a hole and bury yourself and, hold off your neighbors. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying you might want to just be ready for a moment. But I had the vision about these ships. That's happening right now as we're speaking. It's happening right now. For the last 2.5, almost 3 years now, I began to prophesy that Trump would not win. Okay? I don't think that was a legitimate scenario. I'm just saying I prophesied that, took a lot of heat over it, but here we are today. And I got to tell you, he may very well appoint someone else. I don't know if he's really going to run in 24. I see something on him that I'm not sure that he's going to run. I don't know. And I've been saying this for a while, that he may appoint somebody else. And people say, we don't have time. We got to do it today. I agree with that. I agree with that. But listen to me. I'm a seer. I begin to see around the bend. I begin to see what's coming. And I got to tell you, there's things that are happening here that I think there's going to be a different kind of populist uprising, and things are going to happen. Now, he may run. And if he does, I think the VP is going to be very important that he brings forward. And I've had words about this, and I saw the trumpet being in the land again. Now that's something that's happening. And all these prophetic words that have gone on for the last year about he's going to get in January. No, he's going to get in the spring, in March. He's going to get in at the end of summer. He's going to get in fall time. Listen to me. Every step of the way we've said that's not so. And I believe very strongly there's going to come a different picture that's going forward. The other thing that I saw coming, and I began to see this, was lockdowns. Now, as I say all these things, there's great hope in everything I'm saying, okay? Great hope. What are lockdowns? And I think this is going to have to do with climate change. I like what the guy from the Weather Channel said. Climate change is a hoax. It's not real. I agree with the founder of the Weather Channel. Now listen, I think they're going to get into climate change, climate lockdowns that involve all this stuff, that they're going to say, we need to, it's not just this. Now we're beyond all the next variant, the variant that, mutated into communism and all this. We're now beyond that, but now we need to get a lockdowns. Now, I don't understand how this connects or where they're going to push this, but I promise you this is coming. I don't know how. But I've seen this multiple times when I pray. Now, one of the things I want to say about this is this climate change lockdown scenario, very important. I say this again, and I've said this for some time. But here's what I think is going to happen. I had a vision one morning. I woke up and I have these things where I have impressions and visions. But here's what I saw. I began to see this where there was, I saw people, and specifically children and older adults and different people putting their hands on glass and saying, oh, we're here again. We're here again. Oh, I wish I could go out. Oh, I wish I could see friends and family. I began to see that, and I saw them putting their hands against glass, looking out the window, and it was a symbol. It was a symbolic vision. The Lord began to speak to me about 2021. If you remember this, I was sitting in a meeting, and I began to realize that there was a visionary experience I was having, and I saw the one, and God began to highlight the one. And the Lord then showed me that this would be a shield and a plow. Okay? Began to show me that the one transformed into a shield and a plow. It's like it came up. I saw 2, 0, 2, 1, and it flipped up into a 1, and I saw a shield and a plow. And that means there's going to be protection, and that's right now, and labor. Okay? That's what I saw for this year. I saw this a year ago. A shield and a plow. A shield and a plow. 2021. I began to see this. I began to see these things happening and all this. Today I begin to have a strong sense about 2022. I began to see this, and I began to get almost like marching orders that I'm praying through right now, because I began to see some things with marching orders. 2022 is coming, and I began to see something. I began to look, and sometimes I see years in quarters, okay? So when I see years and times and seasons, I see them in quarters, okay? I see years in quarters. It's fascinating and kind of how God speaks to me. But I'm looking at 2022, and somewhere around the half of the first quarter, I'm beginning to see some strength standing up, and the Lord's speaking to me, giving me marching orders for what we're supposed to be doing. I'm seeing some victory coming forward, and so I'm seeing... I'm seeing some strength come forward here in the first quarter of 2022, and I believe the Lord is guiding me. Should we still be not locked down? Should we still have liberties to roam about? Should we be able to fight for our liberties and freedoms, and we're not being suppressed into complete oblivion? One of the things I think we'll begin to do is we're going to begin to have events all over the nation, things like this. Some of it's going to be America's Revival. We have another thing that's going on. There's an initiative that God began to speak to me about in 2022. I sensed it strongly. When I say God began to speak to me, I have a great sense on the inside about things that are to come. But I believe 2022, we're going to begin to have events that lead up to the midterms. Now, if that's only through these broadcasts and live broadcasts, what's going to happen here? Great. But I think that we're going to have a fiery 2022. I think that swords are going to collide. I think there's going to be voices that are going back and forth. I think we're going to begin to see light shining in darkness like never before, because the church needs to wake up. This year is going to be a warrior year. 2022 is a warrior year, and it's going to be a war going all the way up to midterms.